Hello and welcome in this video of the sectors of the Indian economy. It means we are going to understand the second chapter of your economics book. So let's understand about this chapter, sectors of Indian economy. So before we understand this chapter, let's understand the basic thing about this chapter. Suppose you are going outside of your home. So outside, whenever you go outside of your home, you can see many people are engaged in some kind of activity. Some people are working in a shopping mall. Some people are selling the vegetables or fishes in the market, and even some people are working in the retail shop. So every people is engaged in some kind of activity. But the objective of all these people are one: to earn money. So any kind of activity with the objective to earn money is called the economic activity. People are engaged in the economic activity to give the service or to sell any kind of commodity and to earn money. So any kind of activity with the objective to earn money is called the economic activity. So based on the nature of the economic activity, we can broadly classify all kind of activity into three broad sectors, which is called the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. So any kind of activity the people is doing, it can be either the primary sector or the secondary sector or the tertiary sector. So what is the meaning of the primary sector? If we try to understand the meaning of the primary sector, so the primary sector means that sector in which we give our service and take the resources from the nature directly. We take the resources from the nature directly. For example, you can take the fishing from the sea or from the river, the fishing, the agriculture or mining. So these things we directly take from the nature. These things is not coming from any kind of factory or industry. So these activity like fishing, agriculture or mining is the primary sector. This kind of activity will come in the primary sector. So the next one is the secondary sector. Now what is secondary sector? Whatever the things we get from the factory or industry into another product, it will be called the secondary sector. So the secondary sector is also called the manufacturing sector. In the secondary sector, people take the resources or raw material from the primary sector, and after mixing it with another resource, with the help of the machines or factory or industry, another kind of product is produced with the help of the machines or factory. It is called the secondary sector, like biscuit, cake, paper, or any kind of machinery product will come under the secondary sector. Suppose the car is manufactured from the factory or industry. So in order to make the car, we need the rubber, we need the petroleum, or we need steel or plastics. So all these things in a raw form we will take from the primary sector. The steel, to take the steel, we have to depend on the nature. It means from the primary sector we are taking the iron ore. After mixing it with the machines, with the other products, we can create with the help of the industry or factory the car. Car can be manufactured. So the manufacturing of the car or chair or book is dependent on the secondary sector. So I hope that the meaning of the secondary sector is clear to everyone. So we take the raw material from the nature from the primary sector, and after mixing it with another commodity, with another raw material, with the help of the machines, we produce or manufacture another product, which is called the secondary sector. So in the primary sector, we take the raw material from the nature. In the secondary sector, we get the material from the machines or factory. Now what is the meaning of tertiary sector? In the tertiary sector, the transportation, the banking system will come. The tertiary sector means that sector which help in the manufacturing, which help the primary sector and the secondary sector. That is called the tertiary sector. For example, the transportation or banking system. So in which the services are given. In the tertiary sector, service sector. Tertiary sector is also called the service sector, in which we give the service. We don't give the products. So in the tertiary sector, the banking system will come. In the banking system, we need the service. The transportation system, it will also come under the tertiary sector. So I hope that this basic concept is clear for everyone. These three type of sectors are clear for everyone, I hope. So to make our understanding better, let's move to understand these things in a deep manner. So in the primary sector, it produces natural goods like the agriculture, the dairy farm, the mining, or the tree, or any kind of fruit we are getting from the tree. It will be called the primary sector. That means agriculture, mining, fishing come under the primary sector. Now secondary sector, as I have recently said, industrial sector or manufactured goods. So to create the cotton shirt, to create a shirt we need cotton. So cotton we will get by agriculture. From agriculturalist we get the cotton. So cotton is necessary to make any kind of cotton cloth. For rice, we get the agriculture. We get from the agriculture rice. We get from the agriculture. So once again, to make the biscuits or to make any kind of a biscuit or cake, we need the rice and the wheat. Car, it will also come under the manufacturing sector or service sector. We need steel, we need iron ore, which is a part of the primary sector. Chair, we need timber from the tree, and so the timber is a part of the primary sector. So after taking the timber, if we make it a chair with the help of the machines, it will come under the secondary sector. So secondary sector means manufactured goods. Any kind of manufacturing we are doing, so that will come under the secondary sector. Last one is the tertiary sector. The tertiary sector means giving the service, like transportation. For movement of the goods, we need a truck or transportation. For telephone service or shopping or any kind of shopping mall or any kind of shop, the IT sector, all these come under the service sector. Even the banking system, we have to withdraw money. So from the bank, no finished products are produced. 3 students have got 100% marks in History Civics ICSE board this year 2020. I have more than 14 years of experience as ICSE and the CBSE board teacher. I want to share my experience with all the students in my area. Secure 100% marks in ICSE and the CBSE board examination. Join my online video course to secure 100% marks in the board exam. Just at 800 rupees per subject. To join my online course, WhatsApp me mentioning your name, class, email ID and board on 7044987128. Watch free videos and my demo classes in my YouTube channel Smart Exam Academy. The banking people give their service to the people. So the banking system, the teachers also teach in the schools. So it is a service sector. Now I hope that this is clear for everyone, these 3 basic concepts. Now let's understand this primary this primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector in a more detailed manner. So this is the definition of the primary sector. When we produce a good by extraction or collection of raw material, it is called the primary sector, like farming, forestry, hunting, fishing, or mining. Secondary sector, the secondary sector covers activities in which the natural products are changed into other forms through ways of manufacturing. So it is a definition of the secondary sector. You can note down. I hope that you are sitting with a pen and paper and you are making the notes. So you can make notes accordingly. Tertiary sector, this is the definition of the tertiary sector. So I hope that you have written down all the points. So let's move and do an activity. So this is the table number 2.1 of your book. So let's do some kind of activity. This is table number 2.1. So let's do the activity and let's know about these answers. Like, for example, the first example is given. Imagine what would happen if farmers refuse to sell sugarcane to a particular sugar mill. The mill will have to shut down. So what does this show? So this is the example of the secondary sector or industrial sector being dependent on the primary sector. So similarly here, do this kind of work. So let's try to know the answer. So first of all, try to do it by yourself. After that, I will tell you the answer. Okay, so if we try to understand what would happen if the cotton cultivation, what would happen to the cotton cultivation if the companies decide not to buy it from the Indian market and import all cotton they need from the other countries. So by reading this, we can come to know that it means the primary sector is dependent upon the secondary sector for its profit and for its income. I hope it is clear for everyone, because if the companies decide not to buy from the Indian market and import all the cotton they need from the other countries, because they are telling to import all these things from the foreign country. So it means that the primary sector is dependent upon the secondary sector. If we don't purchase anything, so how the farmers will get the profit? After doing the agriculture of the cotton, we have to sell it into the market. If it is not sold, suppose if the cotton is not sold, then the agriculturalists and the small farmers will face problems, because they need money, because cotton is a cash crop. We produce the cotton to sell it into the market and to get the money. Cotton is not an eatable item. So I hope that this is clear for everyone. Now try to solve this one. By doing it, your understanding would be clear about the primary, secondary, and the tertiary sector. The farmers buy many goods such as the tractors, pump set, electricity, pesticides, and the fertilizers. Imagine what would happen if the prices of the fertilizers or the pumping set go up. So try to understand this and try to tell the answer. Okay, so let's know the answer. It means that the primary sector is dependent upon the fertilizer industry. The rise of the prices of the fertilizers will directly affect the agriculture. To do any kind of agriculture activity, we have to buy the seeds and the fertilizers. To save it from the insects, we have to use the fertilizers. But if the prices of the fertilizers go up, it will directly affect the agriculture. So the fertilizing industry, so the machines, the factory, the sector of the fertilizer sector or the secondary sector. So the primary sector is also dependent upon the secondary sector. So try to understand this one. The answer I have already given. It means the secondary sector is dependent upon the transport and the tertiary sector, because the industrial workers will not get the food if the transport system is affected. So for transportation of the food or the raw material, we need the transport system to move the resources from the one place to another, we need to take the help of the transport system. So I hope that it is clear for everyone. So let's move to the another topic. Now comparing these three type of sectors. Now if we compare, the economics suggests that the value of goods and services should be used rather than adding up the actual numbers. So for the example, suppose 1000 kgs of wheat is sold at the 8 rupees per kg. The value of the wheat will be 80 rupees. So whatever the value is there, whatever the commodities are there, we have to convert it into the values, into the money. What is the value of the money of each commodity? So it is calculated and then it is added up, and then the comparison happens that how much contribution each sector has given into the GDP, into the economy of our country. The GDP we will discuss just now in our next slide. So everything, whatever the things we are producing in the agriculture sector and whatever the things we are manufacturing in the secondary sector, all these things are compared and the value of each things are compared, and after that we can decide which sector is contributing to our economy to what extent. Now final good and the intermediate group. The final good means those goods which directly reach to the consumers. Any good which the consumer is using, it is called the final good. And intermediate good means those goods which are used to make another kind of the commodity or any kind of final good. So intermediate good means those goods which are required to make the final good, and the final good means that good which is directly used by the customer. Suppose the biscuit, it is used by the people, it is eaten up by the people. So the biscuit will be the example of the final good because it is eaten by the common people, and the flour, the oil or the sugar is the example of the intermediate good because the sugar, the flour is required to make the biscuits, to manufacture the biscuits. So I hope that the intermediate good and the final good is clear for everyone. So to understand the final good and the intermediate good, in a we will see the practical example to understand the final good and the intermediate good. So let's see the example. Suppose there is a farmer. He is engaged in the agriculture activity. He has produced large amount of the wheat, and he is looking for any kind of place to sell that wheat. So suppose a farmer sold wheat at 8 rupees per kg to a flour mill. So a farmer has sold wheat 8 rupees per kg to the flour mill. Now after making the wheat into the flour, again the flour mill has sent it to a biscuit company like Britannia. So what the mill will do, the mill will grind the wheat, and after making it a flour, the flour mill will again sell that flour, that wheat flour, to Britannia company. And the Britannia company, with the help of the machines and with the help of the sugar and oil, after mixing the sugar and oil with the wheat flour, it has again made a biscuit and it has sold to in the common market. So that will be called the manufacturing sector. It means the biscuit is manufactured into the Britannia company. So again that biscuit has sold at rupees 60, 15 rupees per packet. 15 rupees per packet. So it will be called a manufacturing sector. So the wheat or the flour is the example of the intermediate good, and the biscuit is the example of the final good. So I hope that by giving the example, I hope that you are able to understand the differences or the meaning of the intermediate good and the final good. Now, GDP. What is the meaning of the GDP? The GDP means gross domestic product. It means the value of whole goods and services produced within the territory of India. So within the territory of India, suppose it is the Indian territory, whatever the goods and services we have produced, any kind of service, it is a sum total of the value of the whole goods and services. Whatever the things we have produced or whatever the service we have given, it is the money value of all those goods and services which is produced within the Indian territory. Outside the territory we will not take into the GDP. In the GDP we will see what we will assess the value of all goods and services produced within the Indian territory. So there are two terms, final goods and the intermediate good. I hope that it is clear for everyone. So the GDP means gross domestic product. It means that the money value of whole goods and services produced within the Indian territory. Of course, whenever I am telling the money value of whole goods and services, it means the three sectors. So the sum total of the production in the three sectors gives the GDP of a country. So again, if we try to understand the final good and the intermediate good, whatever I have said, in the final good, the biscuit packet is the example of the final good, and the intermediate good means the wheat flour. So I hope that it is completely clear for everyone, the final good and the intermediate good. Many times it has appeared in the examination, so be alert about the definition of final good and the intermediate good. Let's move ahead. So if in this picture, this is the graph number 1, the GDP by primary, secondary and the tertiary sector. So here is the year 1973. In the 1973 year, this is the tertiary sector, this is service sector, this is secondary sector, and this one is the primary sector, that means agriculture, mining or fishing. So you can see the area, of the primary sector. Now in 2003, the area of the primary sector has also increased, the secondary sector has also increased, and the area of the tertiary sector has also increased too much. So you can assess how much the area of the tertiary sector is increasing. That means the area of the increasing tertiary sector is suggesting that the importance of the tertiary sector is rising. Many people are engaged, even too many people are taking or giving their participation in the tertiary sector. Many people are giving their participation in the tertiary sector. Here, this area, that is the area of the secondary sector, is also increasing, and the agriculture and the primary sector is also increasing. But the larger increment of the area is found in the tertiary sector. Many people are opting the tertiary sector. So what are the reasons for increasing importance of the tertiary sector? So let's understand about the main causes behind the increasing importance of the tertiary sector. So the same thing it is said for the historical change. If you see the historical change, the same thing whichever I have said is written in the text form. In 1971 to 72 and 2011 to 12, while the production in all the three sectors has increased, it has increased most in the tertiary sector. That means tertiary sector is increasing its importance. As a result, in the year 2011 to 12, the tertiary sector has emerged as the largest producing sector in India, replacing the primary sector. So if we talk about the agriculture industry or the mining industry, less people are giving their participation. Majority of the people are giving their participation in the tertiary sector. Why? So what are the reasons behind the increasing importance of the tertiary sector? Let's understand.